Hey, so I want to talk about the open step real quick. And I just wanted to point something out. I'm on my stairs here. We have a normal handrail for the adults, and then we have a little handrail for our little babies that come down up and down the stairs. So it's kind of cute. The five-star approach is kind of like that. So if you're like super socially gifted and you can like you've got charisma and you've got this magnetic personality, then you probably don't need the five-star approach. You probably don't need more structure and more different ways to think about things. Um, if you're a really intuitive personality and you always kind of know what people want and what they need, it's probably not for you. On the other hand, if you're more like me and you understand numbers and processes better than people, then this might be for you. It might be very helpful. So the open step, it starts out with asking, "Hey, what would be a five-star experience for you?" Now, I just want to point out at this time that you don't have to use that language. You don't have to use the five-star language to do it. For me, it's helpful. It's a helpful trigger, and I think that um, over time, my wife has learned like what I'm about, what this whole thing is about. And so when I say that five-star language, for her, it's triggering like, oh, this is about me. Like he's trying to make me happy again. This is great. So it triggers that for her. Now, there was a point where she was like, you can't solve everything with the five-star approach, Tyler. And I kind of got down about it, and I was like, "Oh, you're right. I can't." And so I stopped doing it, and I stopped making progress in our relationship. And then I kept thinking about it though, and I kept thinking, things were so good when I was using that. And I had been using it with my kids because I wrote a book as well about for parents, the five-star approach to parenting. And my sister told me that, and my wife told me that about the same time. And maybe yeah, it was both of them. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I guess it doesn't work so well after all. And I stopped using it, and just things fell apart. As with my kids, especially, things just got really wild, and they went right back to the way that they had been before. And I was like, wow, things are like the way that they were before. This is terrible. And then I realized, wait a minute, why did that happen? Why? Oh, it's because I stopped doing the five-star approach. Like this is the only thing that's really worked consistently and pervasively in our relationships, in our family. So I started doing it again, and I just kept at it. And I was just like, hey, I want to do this because I love you. And I want to do this because I care about our relationship. And I want you to be happy. And I know the language might sound kooky or whatever, but I want to do this because I love you. And this is the only way that I know how to do it. So I kept it up. I jumped back into it, and lo and behold, the shift back to wonderful happened, and with my kids, and I continued to make progress. I jumped back into where I had been making progress before with my wife, and it wasn't long after that I discovered the ultimate relationship question, started asking her that, and then we got to five stars. And it didn't take that long after pushing through that initial like, wait a minute, like this sounds, this sounds arbitrary or fake or whatever. And I was like, I, I don't know what to tell you. I'm doing this because I love you. Like this is the only way I know how to take care of your needs. So that's a little background. And the open step, and like I said, so you don't have to use the language. And in the beginning, um, try it out. If it doesn't work, then use other language. Use whatever works for your partner. For example, you could say, "Hey, I want to make a really great experience for you today," or "Hey, what would be really awesome for you today?" Right? And you may already have some intuitive ideas about what would probably be good or not. And you may also, you may have a partner who loves surprises. Surprises, I'm not great at surprises because I I don't get it right very often. And it's like if I tried for this thing and it wasn't quite right, then the surprise doesn't really work. So that might work for you. And I would say that if you want to, if you're not sure if the surprise will work, talk about it beforehand and talk about like, hey, if I surprised you sometime and did something like this, would that be super cool for you? And they might say either, usually that would be, but today, like I just got too much on my plate or whatever. Like they may help you understand like or they may say that would always be a 5 star. That would always be wonderful for me, right? So you can kind of test it out, play it out, and see how well they think that that would work. And then by figuring out how well it might work in their perception, you're doing that open step. So the open is open your heart, express your love, and find out and make a plan together. What would be a 5 star experience? That's the open step. And I've done the open step so many times. I've also occasionally I'll skip it. So occasionally I'll say, "Oh, is this a 5 star experience for you?" Like I'm already doing it. I'm already delivering, and I'm like, "Ooh, this is going well. Like, is this a 5 star experience for you?" And so occasionally I'll skip it if I already jump into it. However, just like the deliver when you're checking in, and the follow up where you're saying, "Hey, was that a 5 star experience?" Like in order to trigger it in their mind and generate the gratitude and catalyze the law of reciprocity and and get it onto the list where they're like, oh yes, 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 like you've gone all the way through the experience and then you have this list of 5 star experiences and you should be making at least 3 a day if you live together. And then even if you're not together, you can still find ways to write a special text message or send a special picture, whatever. And when you get that list, so the open step is part of creating that list where it's this mutually agreed upon, like, oh yeah, that was great, like wow. And so you're thinking forward of, okay, what will this be like afterwards when I have this as one of the items in this big list of things that I've done that my partner is absolutely stellar grateful for. They're like, oh my goodness, that was great. Um, and so you're thinking, okay, I want to get it on the list. So what do I need to do? How clear do I need to be in my communication in order to get this particular event or situation or experience, this particular moment into that list so that when I'm reviewing it later, they will for sure be like, oh yeah, that was great. Instead of like, huh, I don't remember that. Or it was okay. Or, there's a lot of room for error in the process of a relationship, and so this 3 step method helps you to nail it down, to nail down expectations, to open yourself to opportunities, and uh, to clarify both ways those expectations of what's going on. So I encourage you to open. It's all about the other person. It's not about you. It's about serving their needs within healthy boundaries. And I'll make a video on healthy boundaries. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video.